I want to know about Ucal.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know about your relationship with him and about your marriage and how that helped shape your desire to take this entrepreneurial step. Tell me about him.
So he was part of the UN.
He was a founding member.
He was a member, and we actually lived on the same floor at Suffolk, so we went to undergrad together.
Wow.
And he was a star player on the soccer team at Suffolk. He was a D1 player playing at a D3 school, just because how he got discovered, coming in as a first generation immigrant from Jamaica and got recruited, and they were lucky to have him. He was amazing. And I actually took a year off my freshman year to figure out who I was not attached to sport, like for the first time since second grade. And I was just like, growing my nails out. I was like exploring different parts of me. I was just like, okay. And then sophomore year, I came back to myself. I'm like, I really miss playing. And I started the first women's team at Suffolk. So we started with club, and actually Ucal, who I was great friends with, helped me. He was like my coach. So that's when I was like, what's going on here? So that's when I started.
You just felt for him.
Yeah, that's when
you looked at him differently outside of the council. You were like, he's a helper.
Yeah, outside of the council. So, but he was just, a joy. He was always laughing, dancing, like just a bright, bright light. And everybody loved him. No one could say anything bad about him. And if you did, he'd make you fall in love with him. Like, he's just that type of generous spirit, just amazing person.
So you guys dated for how long before you got married?
Almost 10 years.
10 years?
Almost 10 years, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So we got engaged. We got married almost 2 years before he passed away in Maine, in Old Orchard Beach. And, just my best friend and, my partner and someone, I had those formative years with, grew up together.
Knew you better than anyone.
Yeah. And we were just truly friends first, and then had the relationship. So we had this really strong, underlying friendship before, the romantic stuff.
So tell me about the day. Ucal was playing soccer.
He was playing soccer. I was actually running around because I was going to speak on the West Coast for an event. And I was just doing errands, and I got home. I was actually going to go to lunch with one of my girlfriends. And I got a phone call. I was at home, and they said, he's collapsed. And I was like, what? I was freaking out. And someone else got on the phone, and they're like, he's okay. Just come to the field. I think they were just trying to calm me down. So I found out where he was. He was only playing 5 minutes from my house at the time. So I ran to Moakley Field in South Boston. And I was expecting to see him sitting up, with an IV or getting hydrated. Then that's not what I saw when I got there. He was lying flat on the field. And I think he was gone at that point. Yeah. So I fell to the ground, and we took him to the hospital, and it was just the worst. The worst possible scenario.
Yeah.
They came in, all of his team members had come into the room. One of my best friends was there with me, who I was going to go to lunch with. She found me, and the doctor came in and said he didn't make it. And everybody, I just remember it was being in a dream, because everybody reacted around me, and I was the only one who didn't. I was just sitting there because I couldn't absorb it. It just went through me, and it was just the start of a very hard year ahead.
My God, Suzanne, I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
And so that moment was your breakdown.
Yeah.
The lowest you've ever been.
Yeah.
The hardest life has ever been. What did you cling to? Because I don't know if anyone, you hope no one ever experiences this, but people do. You just said the stat. How many people suffer massive heart attacks and don't make it? These are huge numbers.
Huge, over 350,000 in the United States alone.
In the United States alone. And I know for Black women, it is the number one killer of Black women in America.
Yeah.
Congestive heart failure. Gone.
Yep.
And so here you are in this room, and your best friend, your husband, the person you love, who knows you better than anyone, is gone.
Yeah.
What do you do next? What the fuck do you do next?
I know. Shan, I have to say, there has to be improvement on grief resources. And especially in 2009 is when he passed away. There was I felt like there was nothing. Like, they're like, it was so prescriptive. It was like, here are the 7 steps of grief. And this is how you it's linear. And you go through it, this. And it was just so much miseducation. And people saying, or educating people, like, you have to say the person's name, so the person who's grieving doesn't think you forgot them. But for me, it was the opposite. I was like, don't even bring him up in the past tense or I will freak out. I didn't want, I wasn't ready to absorb it. So I think my takeaway was that grief is so personal.
Yes.
People deal with it so differently. And, people who have gone through a long illness with somebody will grieve differently than somebody who has a sudden death in the family or someone close to them who dies. So that really impacts how you grieve as well. So I learned all of these things. And the things that worked for me were Joan Didion's book, A Year of Magical Thinking. And it was the first resource I had that truly worked and made me feel like I wasn't crazy.
What was it about Joan's book?
Hers was about losing both her husband and her daughter. I'm like, I can't even.
My God.
I can't even like back to back. And she, specific to her husband, said, I can't empty my husband's closet because what if he comes back and needs his stuff? And I was like, that just resonated with me. I had his stuff on his, dresser drawer. I couldn't, take his clothes away.
You wanted to still smell him.
And what if he needs it when he comes back? That's how, your brain is not rational. It's not happening, but your brain and your emotions, it's just, you feel insane. So that was really hard for me. And then going to grief counseling really helped. Good. And for me personally, I did have to take medication because I was running, eating right. I was trying to do all the things, and grief really sits on you. It makes you physically feel weighted down. At least it did for me. And I had to get some prescription, to help me with that. And I don't know if I would be here today if I didn't have the grief counseling, talking work, and then having a purpose, to get up in the morning through the foundation, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then, having all of those things together as resources for myself.